At the year-end family gathering for my fiancé, Chloe Miller, a social media influencer, squeezed me out of the group photo to stand arm in arm intimately with my boyfriend. Brandon and I are childhood friends, she chirped. Before you, this was always my spot. I told her to stand in the back row, but my fiancé frowned at me. Why are you fighting over a standing spot, he said. Chloe and I are just good friends, stop being so jealous. My fiancé's whole family criticized me for being tactless. As a daughter-in-law marrying into old money, you should be well-mannered and gracious, they lectured. Don't act like those from an ordinary family, trying to control a man. Later, at the wedding ceremony, my fiancé demanded to know why he wasn't the groom. I replied, what's there to fight over when it comes to a title? My husband and I are married. It's not up to a stranger like you to get jealous. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us where you're listening from in the comments. Eleanor Sterling. What's there to fight over for a standing spot? Chloe is a big social media influencer, and she hasn't even asked for the spotlight, but you're being picky, coming to our Taylor group to throw your diva attitude around? Do you really think the whole world revolves around you? My boyfriend, Brandon Taylor, frowned deeply, his sharp words making everyone in the Taylor family stare at me. Their scrutinizing gazes made me intensely uncomfortable. A few impatient urges were even more grating. Is a fiancé going to make our whole family wait? The Sterling group really is punching above their weight. Anyone who didn't know would think our Brandon was marrying above his station by marrying into the Sterling group. Are you taking the photo or not? I have a business meeting soon. Millions of dollars a minute. It's bad luck to be delayed by a woman. Meanwhile, Chloe Miller, who had just elbowed me aside with such arrogance, now batted her innocent eyes. Brandon, maybe I should just stand in the back. I don't want Miss Sterling to be unhappy. It's okay if I suffer a little injustice. The important thing is not to trouble the whole family. Chloe Miller said, pretending to release his arm but not forgetting to purse her lips, enduring her grievance, which drew a wave of compliments. Look at Chloe, a big social media influencer, yet so gracious and understanding. She's so much more sensible than that tactless Ms. Sterling. If it weren't for the Sterling group clinging to the engagement, I'd say Brandon and Ms. Miller are a perfect match. Brandon Taylor even grabbed Chloe Miller's hand firmly. Chloe, you stay right here. Chloe and I grew up together as childhood friends. The Taylor family is like a second home to Chloe. Whoever doesn't like it can just leave. Brandon Taylor lifted his chin, looking at me as if certain I would silently endure it. My engagement to Brandon Taylor had been set by Mr. Taylor when he was alive. At the time, our Sterling group was indeed slightly inferior to the Taylor group. But 20 years had passed. Now, our Sterling group was making a fortune overseas, with assets many times that of the Taylor group. And after Mr. Taylor's death, the entire Taylor group was rudderless, and Brandon Taylor was nothing but a spoiled heir who only appeared in gossip magazines. Our Sterling group honored the engagement and didn't cancel it, but in the eyes of the delusional arrogance Taylor family, it was as if I was shamelessly marrying above my station. I let out a cold laugh, just about to say the engagement could be called off, when Mrs. Taylor spoke. All right, Ellie came all this way to join us, the Taylor family. Since she asked, we should at least give her face. Chloe is family, she'll just have to make a small concession this time. The words seemed to be in my favor, but the tone and phrasing made me frown. After offering a small concession, Mrs. Taylor immediately switched to lecturing. Eleanor, Chloe is pretty and has a good relationship with Brandon. It's understandable that you're afraid she'll steal your thunder, but since you're marrying into an elite family, you must have the perspective and foresight of an old money daughter-in-law. At these words, everyone in the Taylor family nodded. Brandon Taylor grunted and moved Chloe Miller from his right side to his left, saying impatiently, I've made room for you. Can we take the picture now? In recent years, the Taylor family had almost no contact with us. Seeing the current family atmosphere of the Taylors, I decided to break off the engagement. I had initially thought it better to keep things simple and tell Brandon Taylor privately after the photo, but he grew even more impatient. Can you stop stalling? I have to take Chloe to an awards gala later. His words stunned me. The Taylor family had originally informed me that after their family gathering, Brandon Taylor was supposed to go abroad with me to meet my parents. If you had plans, why didn't you say so earlier? My parents already arranged the private jet. My parents, to show their respect, had specially arranged complex arrangements for a private jet to pick us up. Brandon Taylor's frustration was palpable. How much is a plane ticket worth? I'll pay you double, all right, Eleanor Sterling. It's not as if your Sterling group has fallen on hard times. How can you be so petty? Are you taking the picture or not? If not, get out of the way. Don't waste everyone's time. I laughed in exasperation and nodded. Fine, you're right, this is your Taylor Group family photo. There's no need for an outsider like me to join. I had intended to tell you privately, but now is a good time, with your whole family here. Brandon Taylor, I officially inform you that our engagement is dissolved. With that, I turned to leave, but to my surprise, Ch. Lo Miller was the first to rush after me and grab my wrist. Miss Sterling, I can apologize to you, but please don't threaten Brandon with breaking off the engagement. Her face was soft, but the hand holding mine dug into my wrist, causing sharp pain. Seeing that she was about to fake a fall, I twisted my wrist back and squeezed hers tightly in return. Chloe Miller, are you putting on a show? Don't pretend I don't know you were trying to assert dominance earlier. I drew out my words. And now I've given you room, oh dear. You're not trying to fake a fall and blame me again, are you? I can help you with that. As I spoke, I pushed hard with my wrist, and Chloe Miller fell squarely to the ground, wincing in pain. Brandon Taylor rushed over, quickly helping Chloe Miller up. Eleanor Sterling, what is the meaning of this? Chloe was kindly giving you a way out. And you played dirty. Eleanor Sterling, apologize to Chloe immediately. Apologize to my entire family, otherwise, I really will have to reconsider our marriage. Chloe Miller feigned strength. Brandon, today's incident is all my fault. I just thought we had an unbreakable bond, and I didn't consider that Miss Sterling would feel envious. Her eyes filled with tears, she stubbornly looked at me. Miss Sterling, I understand you. For some women, love is the biggest thing in the world, but I'm not the kind of person you think I am. Chloe Miller looked at Brandon Taylor. Brandon, I was going to tell you later. My cousin contacted me and said he wants me to move to the East Coast after the new year. So it might be hard to see each other then, but since you're getting married anyway, my leaving will save Miss Sterling from overthinking. When Chloe Miller mentioned her cousin, Brandon Taylor's eyes immediately lit up. And the Taylor family members, upon hearing this, stirred in excitement. Chloe's cousin, isn't that the Preston family from the East Coast consort? That's a promising young executive. Bound for great things. I heard Chloe's cousin treats her like his own sister. The Preston Group recently wanted to cooperate with domestic operations. Will Eleanor Sterling's antics cause our Taylor family to offend the Preston Group? Mrs. Taylor, who had been acting arrogant and looking down on me since I arrived, now grabbed Chloe's hand. Good girl, why didn't you say so earlier? It's all my fault. You're suffering such a great injustice right before you leave. Mrs. Taylor frowned and swept her gaze over me. Eleanor, if you want to marry into my Taylor family, you must abide by our rules, always being tactless and throwing tantrums. All the Taylor Group's network won't be enough for you to ruin. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and apologize to Chloe. I frowned, looking at Chloe Miller, who was surrounded by the Taylor mother and son. The heir to the Preston Group from the East Coast is your cousin? Before Chloe Miller could speak, Brandon Taylor grew impatient. Now do you realize how ridiculous you were just now? Chloe, with her background, is so humble and doesn't fight for anything, but you, so embarrassing. I ignored him and dialed a number. Mom, let's put the Preston Group collaboration on hold for now. I'll tell you why later. The Preston Group had proposed a strategic alliance with us before the new year, and I originally thought it would be mutually beneficial. But now I needed to confirm whether the Preston family heir was as revolting as his dear cousin. I hadn't finished my call when Brandon Taylor directly slapped my phone out of my hand. Eleanor Sterling, are you still putting on a show for me? I've been saving your face all this time. Your Sterling Group has been practically unknown domestically for years. Now you want to put on a facade? I was about to lose my temper, but the next second, Brandon Taylor actually pressed a hand on my neck. Apologize to Chloe. Are you deaf, or do you not understand human language? I immediately stomped hard on his foot and slapped him across the face. Brandon Taylor, do you understand human language or not? I said, we're breaking off the engagement. Brandon Taylor clutched his face, looking at me in disbelief, finally realizing I wasn't just throwing a tantrum. Chloe Miller ran over, heartbroken. Brandon, it doesn't hurt. Chloe will kiss it better. Then she looked at me with a serious expression. Miss Sterling, you're acting out, and everyone has tolerated you to the maximum extent. How can you be so enraged that you hit someone? I stared at the hostile crowd and scoffed at them. I have a 5th-degree black belt. If we start fighting, you'll either spend the new year in the hospital or in jail. You decide. This time, when I walked away, no one dared to stop me. Only Brandon Taylor gritted his teeth. Eleanor Sterling, you said you'd break off the engagement. Don't come crying later when you regret it. As soon as I got into my car, my mother's call came through. Ellie, did you hit someone and cause a scene at the Taylor family gathering out of jealousy? The Taylor family actually had the nerve to playing the victim first to my parents? After I briefly explained what happened, my mother was also outraged. This is clearly bullying. It's good you broke off the engagement. My darling daughter isn't begging to marry him. By the way, you just mentioned putting the Preston Group collaboration on hold. Coincidentally, young Mr. Preston of Preston Group is in a neighboring city, and he wants to meet you in person right now to discuss it. Before my mother hung up, I indeed received a call from my assistant. One always had to give face to young Mr. Preston of Preston Group, so we agreed to meet in 2 hours. But I hadn't expected to run into them unexpectedly, Chloe Miller and Brandon Taylor, at the agreed-upon location. Brandon Taylor was startled when he saw me, then he snickered. Now do you realize your mistake, considering you rushed over to apologize? As long as you bow and apologize to Chloe, I'll take back what I said about breaking off the engagement. At that moment, outside the hotel, there were quite a few of Chloe Miller's fans, each holding their phones. Upon hearing that I was supposed to apologize to Chloe Miller, they immediately aimed their camera lens at me. Who's this lady? Why is she bullying our Chloe? She's even bullying someone as pure-hearted as Chloe. Our Chloe has a good temper, but that doesn't mean we, her fans, don't. Chloe Miller had gained some popularity over the years with a few shows. She was also good at crafting her image, so many fans believed she was a pure innocent facade, just like in her shows. In front of the camera lens, Chloe Miller looked innocent. It's okay, I believe Miss Sterling didn't push me on purpose, nor did she intentionally insult me with such a vicious word as homewrecker. These words ignited the fans' emotions, and I was immediately surrounded by the crowd. The attackers were mostly young students. I could only explain while trying to push my way out of the encirclement. Seeing me disheveled, Chloe Miller's lips curled up in triumph, yet she feigned anxiety. Just clear up the misunderstanding, everyone, don't get angry for my sake. Brandon Taylor scoffed. Chloe, you're just too good-tempered. Someone as arrogant and willful as Eleanor Sterling deserves to learn a lesson. Eleanor Sterling. I'll say it again, I just want you to give Chloe justice. Please don't use your malicious intentions to slander the reputation between Chloe and me in the future. A few words of instigation further fueled the already emotional fans. Someone struck me, and a heavy camera hit me on the head. Warm blood dripped onto the ground from my eyelashes. Seeing me lose my footing and fall to the ground, Brandon Taylor actually laughed aloud. Chloe, quickly look at her, a bitch eating dirt. Just as I was about to be trampled underfoot, the screech of emergency brakes caught everyone's attention. A well-dressed man rushed out of the driver's seat. Eleanor Sterling. Through the bloodstains, I saw Julian Preston, young Mr. Preston of Preston Group, break through the crowd and block me. Julian Preston, being tall and imposing, immediately shooed everyone away. He was about to lift me when I pushed him away. Mr. Preston, I'm not unconscious yet. I wiped the blood from my forehead, picked up the phone I had been holding on the ground. I recorded everything that just happened. Whoever laid a hand on me, we'll see each other in court. Seeing that I was about to call the police, the crowd stirred, looking to Chloe Miller for help. Chloe Miller frowned at me. Miss Sterling, you just accidentally fell. It's one thing to slander me, but I absolutely won't allow you to slander my fan babies. Brandon Taylor chimed in. Aren't you just seeing that Chloe is a star and trying to threaten her with public opinion? In my capacity as your fiancé, I command you not to cause trouble. If you ruin Chloe's future, you'll never get through the doors of my Taylor family. Julian Preston, on the side, was completely baffled. He asked me in a low voice, Miss Sterling, what's going on? Do you need my help? This wasn't my first meeting with Julian Preston. Not only did we often deal with each other at the business association, but we had also had a few corporate battles. I had intended to make amends with him, but right now, my anger was so great that it couldn't be appeased by profit alone. I gave him an exasperated look. What's going on? Why don't you ask your dear cousin? Julian Preston looked at me, puzzled, then followed my gaze to Chloe Miller. But both sides were a little confused. A moment later, Chloe Miller reacted, a mocking expression on her face. Miss Sterling has made up a show for herself, hasn't she? First, putting on a show about pausing cooperation with the Preston Group, and now finding someone to pretend to be my cousin. Perhaps Miss Sterling is too desperate to marry into the Taylor family and sees me as an imaginary rival. Her sweetly naive tone made everyone scoff at me. She's completely insane, what a pathetic creature, truly blinded by jealousy. Brandon Taylor walked up to Julian Preston with his hands in his pockets. Buddy, you're well dressed, and you even hired a luxury car. How much payment did Eleanor Sterling give you to put on this act? Let me tell you, I'm the heir to the Taylor Group. You don't need an introduction to Ms. Chloe Miller, right? She's not only a big star but also the cousin of the Preston Group from the East Coast. This isn't a circle you can afford to mess with, so scram. The Preston Group from the East Coast? Julian Preston frowned in response. When did my family get a cousin that I don't know about? Chloe Miller covered her mouth and laughed aloud. Where are you from, little extra? Do you have such strong conviction? If you really want to be an actor, I can give you a leg up in my future shows. You have good looks. Don't let someone lead you down the wrong path. Julian Preston smiled wryly at me. I think I understand your predicament now. Is it my English that's bad? I snickered. Don't overthink it, they just don't understand human language. I couldn't be bothered to waste any more words on them and picked up my phone to call the police. Brandon Taylor, however, seemed to have run out of patience. These two putting on a show are never ending. Do you really think my Taylor family is just a decoration here? Today, you two picked the wrong fight. Young Mr. Preston himself will come to pick up Chloe to spend the new year on the East Coast later. I'll apprehend this imposter right now. Conside. Art a welcoming gift for young Mr. Preston. Brandon Taylor waved his hand, and several burly bodyguards grabbed Julian Preston and me. I kicked the leader of them away, but the next moment, I saw Julian Preston already restrained by two men. Julian Preston looked at me with innocent eyes, and I really wanted to poke his eyes out. He's useless, and he didn't even bring bodyguards when he came out. It wasn't until Julian Preston and I were locked in a small room that I frowned, staring at him. What a liability. Julian Preston, whose phone had been confiscated, seemed quite calm, even asking for antiseptic wipes for me. The cotton swab brushed against the wound on my forehead, making me wince and suck in a breath. Julian Preston's voice was close by. I'll be gentler. As he spoke, his breath tickled my cheek. I took the cotton swab and pressed it onto my forehead. All right. Let's figure out how to get out of here quickly. When we came in, I noticed there was only one guard outside. Later, you call him to open the door, and I'll knock him out. Run quickly when we make a break for it. Don't hold us back again, young Mr. Preston. Julian Preston looked at me, a smile in his voice. I only knew Ms. Sterling was decisive in business dealings. I didn't expect her to have excellent fighting skills too. I looked at his generous thumbs up and let out two dry laughs. And I never knew that Julian Preston, shrewd in corporate law, didn't even have self-defense skills. Julian Preston, you come out in this state with only one bodyguard? He answered candidly. I did bring one, but coming to see you was a last-minute arrangement, and I rushed out without calling for him. Ms. Sterling, the misunderstanding should be cleared up now. Can we talk about the cooperation? They've kindly provided such a quiet space for free, we should make good use of it. I looked at his shrewd businessman face and instantly realized. You did this on purpose? USTA. Yet to find out who was impersonating you outside, you should have said something earlier. Why drag me into it? I was a little annoyed, but Julian Preston looked completely innocent. You know my family situation is complicated, those illegitimate children are all eyeing my position. I thought, if I really lost you as a business ally, I'd at least need to see which bastard was responsible for my predicament. He laughed again. I also didn't expect you to actually stay. I thought Ms. Sterling would leave without looking back and call the police to save me. At the time, my first thought was indeed to do that, but in the end, I hesitated. Looking at his half-smile, I threw a cushion at his face. You really are asking for it. You'd better make it worth my while for tricking me like this. Just as Julian Preston and I were scheming, the private room door opened. This time, only Brandon Taylor was there. He looked down at me, chin raised. Eleanor Sterling, I put you in here to reflect on your actions, not to be provocative with some other guy. Before I could speak, Julian Preston cut in. I wonder why the Taylor Group has never recovered all these years. It seems Mr. Taylor took Mr. Taylor's common sense with him when he passed. Watching Julian Preston say this so earnestly, I couldn't help but chuckle. Brandon Taylor immediately rolled up his sleeves to throw a punch, but I intercepted him and shoved him hard to the side. Eleanor Sterling, are you crazy? You're laying hands on me for this other guy? How could the Sterling Group raise such a savage? Before he could finish, I slapped him across the face. Disrespect my parents again, and I'll beat you senseless. Brandon Taylor licked the trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, clenched his fists, and charged at me. Seeing Julian Preston, who had been sitting calmly, stand up, he suddenly raised an eyebrow and smiled. I get it now. This pretty boy wants to leech off a Rick. Woman, you should take a look at yourself in a mirror. Let me tell you. This is my fiancé, betrothed since childhood. I'd rather destroy her than give her to you. Saying this, Brandon Taylor suddenly pulled me into a hug. His hands, used to vile acts, skillfully slid into my waist, and his saliva-covered tongue tip quickly licked my earlobe. Eleanor Sterling, aren't you doing all this to secure the position of Mrs. Taylor? I'll give you a chance now. As long as you make me happy in front of this pretty boy, I'll fulfill the engagement and marry you. Though you're not as pure and charming as Chloe, you do have some charm of your own. From now on, as long as you know your place and act properly, I'll cherish you well just as I need him. Brandon Taylor flew several feet away, crashing heavily against the wall and sliding down. Mr. Taylor, Miss Sterling and I have already established a partnership. I cannot allow you to harm my partner. Julian Preston shook the hand that had just exerted force, his expression as relaxed as ever. Brandon Taylor opened his mouth to curse but spat out 2 bloody molars. A gigolo trying to stand up for his patron. I'll make sure you learn a lesson today. Brandon Taylor shouted to the outside. Are you all dead out there? Get in here and teach this jerk a lesson. At Brandon Taylor's command, dozens of muscular men immediately surged in from outside, all looking menacingly. How many can you handle? I stared at the men, quietly asking Julian Preston. Don't hold back your strength now. Julian Preston pulled my wrist, drawing me behind him. Hitting people hurts my hand, these hands are for making money. I scoffed with a laugh. Do you men really have to put on a show all the time? The other side clearly didn't want to give us any more time to talk, rushing forward, each wielding clubs and sticks. Brandon Taylor wiped the blood from his mouth and crawled up the wall. Eleanor Sterling. It's not too late to kneel and beg me now, otherwise, if I beat you and this pretty boy to death here today, it's what you deserve for consorting with others. Your parents wouldn't even have the face to claim your body. That damn repulsive man. I gritted my teeth and charged forward. After so many years of corporate battles, I possessed both the resolve to cut off a limb to save the body and the courage to go all in. Blows can land anywhere. I was tightly shielded in Julian Preston's arms. Miss Sterling, I heard that people experience a surge of hormones in extremely dangerous situations. I looked at the clubs and sticks about to land on Julian Preston. Why are you playing the suspension bridge effect with me now? Only the victorious are heroes. Otherwise, it's just playing the hero. Julian Preston smiled. I've never lost to anyone, except Miss Sterling. He swiftly grabbed the iron rod that was about to hit him. The next second, even more people rushed in, pushing aside the thugs in front of us. Their attire was from the East Coast, Julian Preston's people. Brandon Taylor, similarly restrained, was still yelling. Who the hell are you? How dare you trespass on my territory? I kicked his already bloody and mangled mouth. Julian Preston, while adjusting his cuffs, smiled and replied. Mr. Taylor, the East Coast has returned to the homeland. What territory do you speak of? 9,600,000 square kilometers all belong to Mother China. Brandon Taylor clutched his continuously bleeding mouth, whimpering and unable to utter a word. Julian Preston leaned down and asked me, Ellie, want to come watch the show? I looked at him askance. Don't you people from the East Coast know that family secrets shouldn't be aired publicly? He shrugged fearlessly. I only know that there can only be one heir in the Preston family. Of course, I wanted to watch the unexpected drama, and I even had someone bring Brandon Taylor aloe. Brandon Taylor was uncooperative at first, but after a real beating, I patted his bruised and swollen face. Young Mr. Taylor, just confess, after all, the world doesn't revolve around you, and these East Coast people won't put up with your nonsense. The gagged Brandon Taylor led us to a conference room. Preston Group personnel reported that they had detected a camera. Julian Preston and I were in the adjacent room, and soon, the situation in the conference room appeared on the computer screen in front of us. But the next scene made Brandon Taylor, who had just been gritting his teeth in silent anger at us, widen his eyes in shock. On screen, the pure and charming Chloe Miller was sitting on a man's thigh, intimately wrapped around his neck, while the man's hand gripped and kneaded her light fabric, eliciting continuous moans from Chloe Miller. Cousin Chloe Miller whined coquettishly. Stop it, there's a camera in this room. The man snickered. How many times have we done it right in front of cameras? And now you're putting on a show, playing hard to get. As he spoke, he pinched hard, causing Chloe Miller to let out a gasp. She tilted her head back to kiss the man, as if pleading, and was met with another caress. Good cousin Chloe will be at your mercy tonight when we get back. Brandon will be here soon. I won't be able to face anyone if he walks in on us. After a round of kissing, Chloe Miller's face flushed red. Besides picking me up today, weren't you also planning to discuss business with the Taylor Group? When Chloe Miller got off the man, his hand was still inside her clothes, and he held a cigarette, scoffing. If it weren't for your introduction, what kind of third-rate Taylor Group stuff would be worthy of young Mr. Preston's attention? Chloe Miller pecked the man's lips again. I've already arranged with Brandon Taylor that, as a show of sincerity, he's prepared all his liquid assets. With this money, cousin and Chloe's aunt will have more leverage with Mr. Preston, and when Mr. Preston eventually passes, cousin can smoothly take over the Preston Group. At that time, cousin, don't forget to help Chloe revive the Miller family, okay? After all, Chloe has sacrificed everything for you. Cousin. The man licked his lips salaciously, his eyes full of lust as he looked at Chloe Miller. He pulled her forward again and slammed her onto the desk. You tempting little vixen. I haven't even accused you of seducing me, and you're already crying foul. Since you're playing with fire, let me put out your fire first. When that damn Brandon Taylor arrives, just make him wait outside, but you have to hold back. Don't moan as loudly as you do at home. Brandon Taylor's face was already bulging with veins from listening. If he hadn't been restrained, he probably would have burst into the next room by now. I quickly looked away from the explicit scene unfolding before me, enduring the disgust, and asked Julian Preston, which branch of your father's family is this? Although the dragon has 9 sons, this one is quite something. The Preston family had been low-key for years. Besides Mr. Preston, who had many affairs, previous generations rarely appeared in public. Julian Preston was the same, but his half-brother in front of me truly broke the Preston Group's family tradition. He had quite a nouveau riche vibe. But surprisingly, Julian Preston also frowned as he watched. I don't even know him. Could my old man have another secret child? Julian Preston, who usually had everything under control, rarely showed such confusion, muttering to himself, impossible. Just then, his assistant bowed and stepped forward. Young master, I've seen this man at the family estate. I perked up my ears for the gossip. The assistant lowered his voice. He's not the master's bloodline, he's the housekeeper's son from the family estate. 2 years ago, the housekeeper even asked the master to find him a job. He worked in security under me for a few days, but he was light-fingered and addicted to gambling, so I fired him. Whoa. This truly was a tangled web of deceit. Does young Mr. Preston still plan to deal with this personally? I expressed deep regret at the premature end of the excitement. Julian Preston also looked somewhat exasperated, but then his eyes shifted. We don't want to get our hands dirty. Letting the dogs loose works too. In our mutual gaze, we both unanimously looked at Brandon Taylor, who was already fuming. Just as Chloe Miller was moaning softly, the conference room door was suddenly slammed open. Brandon Taylor, his face flushed with triumph, shouted through his gapped teeth. Chloe Miller, you bitch. Chloe Miller gasped in alarm and suddenly stood up. The man groaned, his face pale. As he turned to adjust himself, the man didn't forget to roar. Mr. Taylor, don't you know the courtesy of knocking in domestic operations, rushing in so rudely like this? Are you no longer interested in cooperating with my Preston Group? But before he could finish, Brandon Taylor pounced on him, pinning him to the ground, punching him repeatedly in the face. A housekeeper's son daring to impersonate young Mr. Preston? Do you have ******ing think I'm an idiot? Chloe Miller, like a screaming banshee, quickly rushed to intervene. Brandon, stop it. Brandon Taylor, are you crazy? You were the one who asked me to arrange a meeting with my cousin. What the hell are you losing your mind over now? I know you've always had feelings for me, but I told you we can only be friends at this stage. Brandon Taylor slapped Chloe Miller hard across the face. You still dare to speak? You bitch, tricking me out of my money to give some other guy confidence? Do you think I'm a sucker, who has feelings for you? Don't disgust me. Didn't you say your cousin was young Mr. Preston of the Preston Group? Is this piece of trash? Chloe Miller, who had always been doted on by Brandon Taylor, immediately burst into tears, her face full of grievance. Brandon Taylor, how can you talk to me like that? Didn't you say it? That even after you got married and had a girlfriend, you'd always keep a place for me in your heart. My cousin is young Master Preston. The Preston Group is not like your ordinary family. It's perfectly normal for them to have a few illegitimate children. The law even stipulates that illegitimate children can inherit property. My cousin is my uncle's favorite child. Brandon Taylor looked at Chloe Miller, who was stubbornly standing her ground, as if looking at his own foolish self, and spat blood and laughter in fury. You idiot, he's not even an illegitimate child or a bastard. He's just the Preston family's housekeeper's son. Chloe Miller, you're a social media influencer, for better or worse, yet you're consorting with a housekeeper's son. You're so cheap it sickens me. Chloe Miller, from today on, you are never allowed to set foot in the doors of my tailor group. I am engaged. Are you shamelessly clinging to me? Someone, strip these two pieces of trash and throw them onto the street. Chloe Miller and the man were tied together, exposed for all to see, and thrown onto the street. Outside, there were still many of her fans waiting. Those fan club members were so shocked by the scene before them that they were speechless, but they instinctively didn't forget to take photos. It wasn't until someone called the police and both were taken away that the spectacle ended. News of Brandon Taylor reached me after I returned home. My parents said the Taylor family had called many times, begging my family for forgiveness and another chance. It seemed Brandon Taylor had finally taken an interest in me, his fiancé, and had looked into my family's current situation. Brandon Taylor said he's coming to find you. My mother looked teamy, trying on my wedding dress, her face full of impatience from the relentless pestering. This Taylor family really is shameless. No matter what your father and I say, they insist you're engaged to them, and they've been loudly announcing it domestically, causing many uninformed people to call us these past few days asking if we're really going to form an alliance with the Taylor group. She complained, then looked at me in the white gown. Young Mr. Preston's taste is quite good. The gowns he sent are all top designs. Of course, my daughter is beautiful too. I took a picture of myself in the mirror. Soon, this picture was posted on a brand new social media account. Hello everyone, I am Julian Preston, husband of the heiress of the Sterling Group. Julian Preston and I were getting married. The reason, of course, wasn't the suspension bridge effect, but because we both felt the other was currently our best option. In Julian Preston's words, we're both wealthy and excellent, so of course, we should join forces. Then, under my scrutinizing gaze, he cleared his throat, his ears flushed red. Besides, I'm deeply in love with Ms. Sterling. Likes and comments on the account instantly surged. Just as everyone was questioning the authenticity of the account, the official Taylor Group account jumped in and also posted my wedding photo. Hello everyone, this is the young mistress of our Taylor Group, heart, certain clickbait accounts, please have some self-respect. Lightning, stay away. Vomit, the wedding crash, a rare spectacle, immediately exploded on the trending list. The Taylor Group responded online 24/7 like a clown. They even released a vlog. Our young master is going to pick up his young mistress. Those clout chasers are just green with envy. In the video, Brandon Taylor sat on a plane, blowing a kiss at the camera lens. Ellie, I've come to marry you actually, during this time, while my parents were fending off the Taylor family's relentless pestering, I wasn't spared either. Brandon Taylor somehow got hold of countless phone numbers, one after another, which I blocked. His every word was so disgusting it made me lose my appetite. Ellie, my wife, on the nth day of missing you, I have deeply recognized my mistakes and am actively making amends. I promise that from now on, I will have no childhood friends or female confidants by my side. You alone will be my only one for this life. Until death do us part. And he was afraid I wouldn't know, so he forwarded every single detail about Chloe Miller to me. After that day, Chloe Miller was utterly ruined, personally nailed to the pillar of shame by her fan club. And besides the public exposure for all to see that day, footage from the conference room was also anonymously spread like wildfire. People commented, one after another, no snowflake is innocent in an avalanche. I'm willing to be the last snowflake that buries Chloe Miller. I wasn't going to repost, but then I thought, what if I'm the one snowflake that makes it collapse? Big scandal. The man thrown out with that awful Chloe that day was actually her cousin. Holy cow. Everyone else just joked around, but that awful Chloe was actually doing it in private. Chloe Miller's cousin's mother was also kicked out by Mrs. Preston. It turned out that the woman, pregnant out of wedlock back then, had claimed her son was an illegitimate child of the Preston family, and even the most promising heir, to avoid being overshadowed by Mrs. Miller in her family home. Chloe Miller's act truly took after her aunts. Chloe Miller's cousin was already a man addicted to gambling. He had planned to scam money from the Taylor Group, but after failing, he could only unleash all his fury on Chloe Miller. He not only sold private videos Chloe Miller had filmed over the years to the dark web, but later, Chloe Miller herself mysteriously disappeared, with no further news. Only occasional rumors suggested Chloe Miller had been spotted in a northern district. Brandon Taylor solemnly vowed to marry me. However, upon landing, he discovered the name Taylor Group had shot up the trending list. Excitedly thinking it was all his supporters, he clicked on it only to find a barrage of insults. The Taylors are utterly shameless. What blatant robbery. He talks as if it's true, just riding the coattails of this trending topic. Suggesting relevant authorities conduct a thorough investigation. Is Brandon Taylor on drugs or something? Brandon Taylor's trembling hands scrolled through entry after entry, finally finding the answer. Just after he boarded his plane, the official accounts of both the Sterling Group and the Preston Group simultaneously posted a wedding photo of Julian Preston and me. There were no elaborate words, just a simple congratulations. Beneath it, a flood of congratulatory messages. Look at them, that's what old money is like. Dignified, proper, and generous. I wondered why they didn't attack the Taylor Group. Looks like they were afraid of dirtying their hands. Without comparison, there's no hurt. Looking back at the Taylor Group's despicable behavior these past few days, it's truly classless. Thanks to Brandon Taylor, the entire Taylor Group was swept up in a wave of condemnation, and the board of directors, due to the severe repercussions, jointly dismissed Brandon Taylor as acting CEO. The Taylor Group's members, who had sided against me, were now tearing each other apart. I heard Mrs. Taylor was so enraged she suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and was hospitalized, remaining in intensive care. But Brandon Taylor was still not giving up. He tracked down the location of Julian Preston's and my wedding, but couldn't enter without an invitation. Brandon Taylor, disheveled and squatting by the entrance, saw our wedding car approaching and actually tried to break through the barriers to stop the car. Tears streaming down his face, he E'd, Eleanor. You're my wife, we have a childhood betrothal, how could you break off our engagement, Eleanor? I know you're just acting out of spite. You're angry that I was blinded by Chloe Miller back then, but I've changed. Why can't you give me another chance, Eleanor? I love you. I swear I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. As the wedding car passed him, I rolled down the car window and looked at Brandon Taylor, his eyes instantly lit up with hope. Eleanor, you've come to your senses, haven't you? We're husband and wife. I'm here to marry you. The place by your side should be mine. I'm your husband. Looking at the shameless, crazed man, I let out a cold laugh. What is there to fight over for a title? Besides, my husband and I are married. Mr. Taylor, as a failed stranger, you're hardly in a position to be jealous. Brandon Taylor, this is the last time you'll have a chance to appear before me. From now on, a glance from me. And Julian Preston immediately understood, flooring the accelerator. Amidst the sports car's roar, the exhaust fumes enveloped Brandon Taylor. From now on, Brandon Taylor wouldn't even see the exhaust fumes of my car. Julian Preston. I looked at a message my assistant sent to my phone and sharply shoved Julian Preston. Why are you acquiring the Preston Group? Are you out of your mind? This company has no hope left. Julian Preston, however, looked resigned. Ms. Sterling, would you like to see the acquisition price? It's barely worth scrap metal, anyway. Besides, are you questioning my ability to bring things back from the brink? I've revived so many small companies on the verge of collapse, and besides, can we not talk about such an appetite-killing topic on our wedding night? I poked Julian Preston's firm shoulder with a finger. Then tell me, how much profit will this company bring me by the end of the year? Julian Preston. I am married to you, every investment from now on is community property. Julian Preston chuckled. The acquisition money came from my own pocket, the profit is marital property. Miss Sterling, how are you even more of a shrewd businessman than I am? His handsome face was close, and Julian Preston pulled my hand to his firm abs. Reporting, boss, it's a guaranteed profit. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.